This episode is sponsored by Dr. Chrono by EverHealth, the #1 mobile all-in-one EHR. Built specifically for medical practices, Dr. Chrono includes an integrated feature that powers a seamless payments acceptance experience. Dr. Chrono Payments offers multiple ways for patients to pay as well as insurance credit card processing. As a Dr. Chrono customer, you can easily activate our fully integrated payment solution that will streamline your cash flow and help you get paid anytime from anywhere. Deliver the best patient experience with a fast and easy way to collect payments. Visit drchrono.com/payments. That's drchrono.com/payments to learn more about Dr. Chrono today. Direct primary care is an innovative, alternative path to insurance-driven healthcare. Typically, a patient pays their doctor a low monthly membership and, in return, builds a lasting relationship with their doctor and has their doctor available at their fingertips. Welcome to the My DPC Story podcast, where each week you will hear the ever-so-relatable stories shared by physicians who have chosen to practice medicine in their individual communities through the direct primary care model. I'm your host, Marielle Conception, family physician, DPC owner, and former fee-for-service doctor. I hope you enjoy today's episode and come away feeling inspired about the future of patient care, direct primary care. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Berry.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting to be here with you.
This is such a treat because we are between seasons. Season 3 is almost about to start, but we just had to do this recording because coming up in February is the first Pediatric DPC Mastermind. So can you please tell us, as the founder of the Mastermind, what is the Peds DPC Mastermind and who is it for?
Sure, absolutely. So this is going to be a wonderful weekend. It's February 24th through 26th in Orlando, and it is going to be 3 days jam-packed full of speakers. Most of us are pediatric DPC doctors who will be speaking on all things that you need to know if you are considering or starting or already in a pediatric DPC practice. So it all started because we have a Facebook group for pediatricians who do DPC or are considering it. We network, we communicate, we answer each other's questions, we go on Zoom calls, we have supported each other and been there for one another through our starts. And we all were like, we need to physically meet and get together. I feel like I know these people, even though I've never met them in person. So it all started off as just like, let's just find a way to get together. Well, that turned into, well, if we're going to do it, we might as well get credit for it and do CME hours. And so it kind of snowballed. And the goal ultimately is for people who are in the process of starting their DPC. We want to pay it forward. Those of us who are already in our DPC practice and loving every minute of the new way. And we want others to learn from it. So people obviously need to have heard of it as a way to know that they're interested in learning more. But really it's so that we can educate pediatricians and family doctors who take care of kids how to go about starting their own DPC. And if they're already in it, how to thrive and how to grow it so that they can be the best DPC doc they want to be.
That's just incredible. You guys are providing an awesome source for people to not only get knowledge, but also network and meet other people that can be part of their support systems going into the future. So can you give us a rundown about what's going to be happening on the 24th through the 26th? Because your guys' itinerary is not like half day on the 26th. It's going all the way till 3 p.m. It's so exciting.
Yes, it is. It's jam-packed. And we were trying to find a balance between education, getting CME hours, also having some time for the social side. So we're going to have a yoga event in the morning, one morning before breakfast. We're having a cocktail hour one evening, and then a social event at Disney Springs the second evening. And obviously lunch breaks and those types of things as a time for people to socialize and network with each other. But yeah, my hope and what I've said is people can be as involved as they'd like to be. They can show up the first day, first morning session and be there the whole day, do everything, or they could use that time with family, or if they're coming alone and they're really taking time to really think through and have some deep introspection to figure out what they're trying to do going forward, they can take that time too. So by no means do people have to go to everything, but we wanted to make it active and busy enough that people have things that they can do if they wanted to do everything. So on Friday, the 24th, everyone's going to come in the mornings, all 3 mornings, breakfasts are included. So we'll all have breakfast and then the registration will open and check in. And there's going to be some vendors there. So we've been fortunate to have sponsors such as yourself with my DPC story that have volunteered to be there to support our mastermind. So their tables will be there. So there will be some interaction with the businesses. So we're going to start the mastermind weekend with a physician. She's a pediatrician and she's opening up her own DPC. Her name's Erin Donnelly, but she actually is a coach as well. And so she's going to talk to us about how we can get the most out of the weekend, what kind of mindset we show up to. We all are leaving our crazy lives for a short period of time, and how we can really focus on getting something out of it, but then also how to take that back to the real life and incorporate some of the things that we've learned. So that's going to be a really great way for us to kick off the mastermind, just knowing that we're going in with an inspirational start from her. So we're going to have some lectures on mental health and lactation review. We have a pediatric endocrinologist who's going to do a lecture on growth. Lifestyle medicine is something that one of the speakers is going to touch on that first day. So we're going to try to balance between talking about DPC, but then also just some basic education. And then the end of that day, we'll do a cocktail hour, drinks included. Come on and have a drink with us. And it's going to just be an hour prior to free time in the evening. So everyone can do their own thing that night. The next day, Saturday, the 25th, we're going to have yoga in the morning and then similar start with breakfast. And then we're going to jump right in. Every hour is a different topic with a speaker. And the goal is to have about a 45-minute lecture followed by a 10 to 15-minute Q&A. There's going to be 3 different roundtables, which are open discussions based on where you're at in your journey. So that middle day on the 25th is going to be for those who are just starting within their first 6 months. And they're just hitting the ground running and trying to figure out all the things. So I really want everyone to feel like they are speaking up, asking questions. They're not just there absorbing it all. But I don't want it to be just completely passive, but I want everyone to interact with each other. Dr. Nitin Gupta is going to talk. His lecture is called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And he has been so profoundly successful, and he's growing. And he is actually the reason I decided to not hire someone to help me start my practice. I remember going into the Facebook group saying like, hey, I'm thinking about hiring this consulting group. And he messaged me and he said, do not hire someone. We will help you. Ask all of us. We've started it. We've been there. We've done it before. Let us help you. And so I didn't. I did take his word for it. And he was so remarkably helpful. So just based on how he's growing and how his business is thriving, I know he's going to be able to teach a lot of those starting some good tidbits of what to do, what not to do, and some in between, tricks that'll be helpful. And then Saturday evening, we'll go to Disney Springs for dinner. And I'm hoping we're going to be able to stay out. I don't know. We'll see what the Disney Springs transportation is included from our resort. So we won't have to be worrying about driving back to the hotel that night. So it'll be just a nice night for people to stay out as long as they want, or they could go home early and get a good night's rest. The next morning, Sunday, we'll start. It'll be the same start time at 9:00 with breakfast prior to. And then we're going to have a couple different lectures that are being given by presenters that I've heard myself and those that I've gotten to know that I just know are going to be so inspiring. Dr. Phil Boucher has a very strong following on social media. He is doing all the things. He is a coach, he has a podcast, he is very present with workshops and with doing things for his the parents, the patients of his. He's very he is just involved in so many different things. I actually did a session with him earlier today. He's coaching me. So he's awesome. He's going to be coming in. He's going to be talking about how you can create a following and reach people through your social media in 10 minutes a day or less. He has a limit that he spends on his time on social media. And I remember interacting with him one time and he's like, "Oh, I have to text you I've hit my limit for social media for the day." Like, he's very disciplined and efficient in his time. And he has shown me that you can have a huge impact in the social media world without taking hours to create a post, editing over and over, just being very real. And he will be speaking to that. And I'm trying to think. So, one of the things I think is interesting is every DPC looks different. Same goes, obviously, pediatric. It's going to be depending on if you are DPC open in the office 9 to 5, if you're concierge type, if you're house calls only, or if you have a home clinic. It looks very different for everybody. So we're going to have different speakers that will touch on each of those. I have one pediatrician that's going to talk only about her clinic that is based out of her home. The other is someone who doesn't have a brick and mortar office. She does house calls only. And so everything is at her house. And then she goes to people's homes and does their visits there. So they're going to be touching on those options. So one of the goals of this is so that people see that it can look different than what it does. I don't know if anyone listening to this can relate, but I was in the system. I was part of corporate medicine for years. I did not understand that there was another option. I knew I wasn't satisfied. I knew I wasn't fulfilled. I struggled with whether I wanted to stay in medicine or not, if I wanted to leave altogether. I knew something had to change. It was just to a point where I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I literally have to change jobs. Like I cannot continue with my loans, all the things." So I knew I was going to open my own practice. I didn't know what it was going to look like. Dr. Phil Boucher and I spoke at the time. He was still in his practice, which was a private practice, in private fee for service. And I just started talking to different people about what they were doing and what they thought. And one of my residency friends does DPC in Florida. And I talked to her and she introduced me to the concept. So literally a few months before I opened my own practice, I had not even heard of DPC. And it blows my mind because now I can't imagine doing it any other way. And unless you hear about it and know about it, and that's why I think what you're doing is so amazing because you're spreading the word and the message and educating people. I would have done what I was doing for 40 more years of a career. And I want people to know, don't give up. I finally, 10 years into my career, can tell my parents, they keep asking, "Is it worth it? Is it worth it? All the hard work, everything you've done." I finally can say yes. It took a very long time for me to find my groove and figure out where I was meant to be. And when you find it, you understand why people say, like, once you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm not saying it's not work. It's hard. I'm grinding. I'm putting in a lot of hours here, but it is a joy. And I feel like it's my purpose professionally. I feel like I'm the happiest I've ever been professionally. And so I just want to be just like give a little hope to those out there that are listening that aren't quite sure where to go and are they're at the start of the journey. That there's some of us that really do want to come alongside you. I mean, I've taken so many calls with people who are thinking about it. We are all right there cheering you on, and we want to encourage you to take the jump and go for it. It's very fulfilling.
It's so incredible. And for those listeners, if you heard Dr. Barry's story and you were just so inspired, can you imagine a whole room of people for 3 days and going to things like yoga and Disney Springs, all with the spirit of DPC running everything they do professionally? How incredible is that? So when Dr. Barry said, "Hey, this Peds DPC conference is happening," I said, "Hubby, these are the dates of the Peds DPC conference. I know we just got back from Orlando, but that does not matter because at the time there was no conglomeration of amazing Peds DPC physicians in one place." So
thank you so much for your support. I'm
absolutely
so excited you're coming.
Absolutely, me too. But if you are on the fence and if you have the ability to go, please check out, and Dr. Barry will mention the website where to go to learn more and to register for the conference. So how much does the conference cost?
Yep. So the actual conference itself is going to be a $415 fee. For those who have guests that are coming that are non-medical, so some people have asked, hey, my spouse would like to come. They're not in the medical field, but they just want to know and understand what I'm learning about because I'm thinking about going into this. There are 2 other options for those people. People who want to come that want to actually attend the lectures as guests, it's $250 for the 3 days. And those who want to come for the social side, to be there to meet some of their spouse or partner's colleagues and network, and they want to be there for the meals and the social events, that's $150 per person.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you to Spruce Health for supporting the My DPC Story podcast. The ways we communicate have changed dramatically over the past decades, but technology and tools in healthcare have not kept pace. Patients want more access and digital convenience, as well as the ability to text their care teams. Care teams are inundated with more communication and rising expectations, but are still using tools and technology stuck in prior decades. Spruce Health created a solution for the tech-forward DPC practice by creating a communication product designed to serve both the patient and the doctor through intuitive HIPAA-compliant workflows, tagging, scheduled messages, and triage templates ready for use, whether you're on your phone or in the exam room. New users get 20% off for the first 12 months of a paid plan with code MARYAL20. That's MARYAL20. So check out Spruce Health today at sprucehealth.com or check out the link in the show notes. Will there be any recordings or virtual attendance options? And are there any scholarships for medical students or residents to attend?
Great question. So unfortunately, we're not going to have a virtual offer this year. We initially thought about doing it, and then ultimately through the audiovisual options at the resort and the budget that we do not have, we decided we were not going to be able to do that this year. What we're hoping for is a very successful event. Maybe we'll do it again. This is a one-time. We don't know if this will ever happen again. So if it is successful and we are able to do it again, those who aren't able to attend this year in person can obviously plan to come next time. And if it's growing and we're able to, it's in the budget to do that, maybe we'll have a virtual option in the future. So no virtual option this time. There are a couple speakers that are actually going to be coming to us virtually. They're not able to attend in person. So just a couple hours will be virtual for us as attendees. And then as far as scholarships, there is a physician who has talked about supporting and sponsoring some people that are interested in going that don't think that they can make it work this year. So if someone is interested in coming and the finances is a big holdup for you, please reach out to me because I would love to find a way to make it happen for you. I would hate for that to be a reason that someone isn't able to come.
And on that note, is there a list on your guys' end, on the back end, where it says like this person's willing to split a room or this person's willing to split a room with multiple people to also keep costs down because the resort's amazing.
Yes.
But if price is a reason that people are finding not to come, do you have a way of combining people together in the room situation?
Yes. So once I get the final list of everybody coming, I'm going to open it up so everyone could see each other, so they can start to communicate. If they're from the same city, they could catch a ride to the airport together. So there could be planning in that way. For now, I have had people reach out to me that are saying, "Hey, I'm coming alone. Do you know of anyone else looking for a room?" Partner. And so I just today sent an email out to people saying like, "Hey, anyone looking for a roommate? Here's this person's email." So I'm happy to coordinate that if that's something that people are interested in doing, because it does the cost. As much as I'm thrilled with the rate they were able to offer us for what we're getting, it's a good deal, but it's still an expense. And so because it's 3 nights or two, depending on when you come, it adds up. And so if splitting a room is something that would help you get there, I will do my best to get you a roommate.
Awesome. And if you don't have a receipt app or a way of saving your receipts, make sure you start doing that, because all of this is stuff that you can write off as a business owner. So
Yes.
as people are listening and they're like, where
Mhm.
do I go? Where do I go to register? You can definitely find the link in the show notes to register. If you're listening, don't do it while driving, but where else can where else can people go if they want to register for the Peds DPC Mastermind?
That's a great question. So thankfully, we have a sponsor that actually created a website for us. So the Don Creative Group is a marketing group, and they're going to be there as a sponsor. They made us a website. It's Pediatric DPC Mastermind.com. All the information is there. You can register through the link there. And the agenda is there. If there's, I mean, I can't think of anything that's not on the website that's important that you know. So that's going to be your go-to place. And then once you register, that's when you'll start to receive emails with more information. And so that's what I've been sending out updates to the group as things are coming up. So once you're on the list, I'll communicate with you personally. But to get onto the registration, it's just right on the website.
Very cool. And in terms of deadlines, are there important deadlines to be paying attention to in terms of reserving a room at the resort as well as registering for the mastermind itself?
Yes. So the hotel itself has put in a deadline of Monday, January 23rd, which is very soon. Obviously, it's approaching quickly. That is to guarantee their locked in rate. Not to say that they can't still honor it more, but they're going to then open it up to the entire inventory for the whole hotel. So they're guaranteeing us a certain number of rooms, and then beyond that, it's not guaranteed, but we're hoping you can still get that discounted rate. And then for the actual process, we're printing all of our materials February 1. So I've asked people who are registering and coming that they confirm and pay before then. So my deadline is the end of January. And that's just so that we can get all of our ducks in a row over those last few weeks.
Totally makes sense. Now, one more question on
Yes.
sponsors. You mentioned that you have sponsors already, but if a person is listening to this podcast and they're like, we have something that a pediatric direct primary care physician could use, and we want to sponsor, where can people go to sponsor the mastermind?
Great question. So I have a sponsorship packet that I can email anybody. It has a proposal and an agreement. And if you email, you can maybe tag my email in the show notes. Anyone can email me. It's DRDEANNA Barry BARRY at Gmail. It's just my name. And I'll email out that information. There's 4 levels of sponsorship. There's bronze sponsor, silver, gold, and diamond, ranging from $500 to $5,000. There are people who wanted a sponsor that aren't able to come, but they'd like to offer support and they'd like some of their marketing materials to get to these physicians. So that's the bronze sponsor. And then other people, the more time that they'll get to spend with the attendees is going to be based on what their price point is and what meal they get to sponsor. So they'll spend more time with them, obviously, if they're at Disney Springs Saturday evening.
So to summarize it all up, pediatricdpcmastermind.com is where you want to go. Also, the resources page on mydpcstory.com and the show notes. I will put Dr. Barry's contact information in case you are wanting to sponsor the mastermind, and February 24th through 26th. So after you listen to this episode, go check your calendars, make arrangements with your families, and register for the mastermind. Dr. Berry, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with the audience about the mastermind?
I just really want to encourage you to think, is this worth the investment of taking the time? And I do know it is an investment. It's not easy. It's a sacrifice to go to something like this. But I really feel like the value is going to come back tenfold. It's a big return on your investment. You'll learn so much. It'll be fun, but it'll also be really helpful and insightful and inspiring. And I think back to when I was getting ready to do this, if I would have had what I know is planned for the next 3 days, if I would have had an opportunity to go to an event like this, it would have made all the difference. So I just encourage everyone to think about coming. We'd love to have you. I know we're getting down to the wire, but it is not too late to register. So feel free to reach out, and I would love to help you make it happen as far as logistics.
Thank you so much, Dr. Berry, for giving us a summary and a preview to the very first Peds DPC Mastermind.
Yay! Thank you so much. Appreciate you having us.
It's been a great season 2, and I am so looking forward to season 3. While waiting for season 3, check out our website at mydpcstory.com. And while you're there, pick up some DPC swag, check out the My DPC Story Mapper to find guests in particular areas around the country, and find helpful resources for anyone, no matter where they are in their DPC journey. In the meantime, also, please share the episodes with a physician you may know who needs to hear about DPC, and follow us on social media. Go ahead and also check out dpcnews.com for the latest happenings in the DPC movement. And happy holidays to everyone. And until next season, this is Marielle Conception.